Yo, what's up guys? Trading on Roblox is one of the easiest and most fun ways to make Robux. And personally, I've gone from about 500 Robux up to 20 million just through trading. And my most commonly asked question about trading is how do you actually start? So before you even make a trade, you need to have Roblox Premium. Unfortunately, you can't trade on Roblox without Premium, but I would recommend buying the cheapest version. Get the $5 Premium. I think you can only buy it on PC, so make sure you guys go on PC and buy Premium. And then you also should know what items you actually are able to trade. So there are 0 UGC limited items that you can trade, and the majority of limited items made by Roblox are tradable, with the only exceptions being the shiny bling and the glossy red baseball cap. As long as you have any other limited item made by Roblox, you can trade it. I recommend using the website Rollimon so you can actually see what limited items you currently have. If you've been playing Roblox for a while, chances are that you might already have a limited item, and I would recommend you guys starting with whatever you have at the moment. But if you don't have any items, then again, I would recommend going to this website Rollimons, and they have a deals page where you can find tons of items that are selling on discount. So for example, this item right here, Roblox Classic Wizard's Hat, you can see it's selling 10% off of its actual value. So it's valued at about 6.5 thousand, but it's only selling for 5.9 thousand. So you're actually getting a better deal there. I would say you probably want to have at least 5,000 Robux to begin. And I would definitely recommend buying one big item instead of a bunch of small items. So if you have about 6,000 Robux, buy one Wizard's Hat instead of buying 5 Shaggies. Once you actually find an item to buy, you have to make sure that you even have trading turned on. So go to your settings on Roblox, then click privacy and content restrictions, and after that, click trading and inventory. Make sure your inventory is visible to everyone, and trading is also enabled to everyone. If you're under 13, you can only trade with people you have added on Roblox. And unfortunately, there's no way to change that. So now that you can trade, what I recommend is trying to send out as many trades as possible. So if you're starting out with a small item, look for items that are worth slightly more than yours. So let's stick with that Wizard's Hat, which is valued at 6,565 Robux. If I go back to Rollimons and I go to Roblox Limiteds right here, I can actually search for items that are worth more than it. So I'm going to put in a minimum value of 6,800 and a maximum value of 7,300 just to get a realistic range of items that I could actually trade for. So let's take the Mandrake route for example. After I go to this item's page, I can actually look at the owner list and try to send to a bunch of the people who own this item and just send out a bunch of trades of the Mandrake route for whatever item or items you're trying to give. I wouldn't recommend trying to get like the craziest trade ever. Like nobody is ever going to accept something like this where they're losing 130,000 Robux. Go for something realistic where you get a decent win, but you're not getting too much. And just keep sending out these trades until you literally hit the trade limit. Remember, there is a trade hold, so after you trade an item, you have to wait another 2 days before you can trade it again. So make sure that you're actually getting a good trade and not one where you're barely earning anything. The beginnings of trading is kind of all the same, just sending out a ton of trades over and over again and slowly making profit. But once you start to make more value, there's more things that you have to worry about. First of all, projected items. Projected items are basically items that have an inflated value. So they're items that aren't worth as much as it says they are. You can tell this pretty easily based on the selling graph. If there's a huge spike in the graph, that's a red flag. And also Rollimons will tell you if any items are projected as well. Next, the demand of an item. So an item's demand is basically how popular it is. The higher the demand, the more that people actually want it. So usually high demand items are a lot easier to trade than low demand ones. But I find with low demand and rarer items, usually will make more profit per item. It just takes longer to trade them. Next, you have upgrading. So upgrading is when you give more items for less. Usually when you're upgrading, you're going to be overpaying. So this trade right here is an example of an upgrade. I'm giving 4 items in return for only 1. And then you have the exact opposite, a downgrade, which is when you're giving less items for more. So in most cases, when you're downgrading, you are going to be getting an overpay. So here's an example of a downgrade where I'm giving 1 item in return for 4. And I kind of have a rule when I'm trading with smaller items. I would say for the most part, any items that are worth under 100K, if I'm downgrading them, I always try to make 10 10% profit. So if I have an item that's worth 10,000 Robux, I want to try to get a 1,000 overpay if I'm downgrading it. This rule doesn't apply to every single item. Obviously, there's exceptions of items that get either more or either less than 10%. And also a word with caution. Unfortunately, in trading, there's a lot of scammers, so don't believe people when they tell you that their items are about to shoot up in value or their items get like 10 billion in overpays. Do your own research and find out how much your items are worth and how much the items you're trading for are worth. Don't just believe people based on the things that they say. Even if there's other people backing them up, a lot of times people have a lot of different strategies to scam people, so be aware of that. And also, a common misconception with limited items is that the selling price is equivalent to how much this item gets in trades or how much it's worth. Just because a limited item is selling for a super high price, it does not mean that it's worth that much. For example, the item with the highest selling price on all of Roblox is one called a very special monster, selling for 999 million Robux. But believe me when I tell you this item is not even worth a fraction of that. But anyways, I hope this video was helpful and informative to help you guys start your trading journey on Roblox. It definitely can be a great way to make a lot of Robux. It is a lot of trial and error, so if you take any L's along the way, don't be too mad about it. If you have any questions about trading, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Peace.